Murder. It happens all the time. Today we are talking about a company who murders their own products and a conspiracy surrounding a little game called SimCity.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
No, not that kind of conspiracy, but an EA conspiracy. 2008, the creators of The Sims and SimCity launched their brand new IP, Spore, with it raking in over 1 million copies sold in its first month. But EA finds a way to screw over their players and developers. Spore launched with a horrible DRM system requiring internet connection to install your mostly single-player game, and that would only allow one copy of Spore to be played on up to 3 different computers. The 3 PC rule doesn't sound that bad, but of course, there is a problem. If the DRM found any change in your computer, it would count as a new PC. So upgrading my hard drive to store more furry dating games would be a problem. TLDR, there was a lawsuit because the DRM wasn't mentioned on the box, and it stays on your PC after Spore is uninstalled. Spore became the most torrented game of all time, leading EA to remove the DRM on the Steam release 2 months later. Having ruined the launch of their newest game, and a bunch of behind-the-scenes development problems led to the founder of Maxis, Will Wright, the man with the sauce, to leave the company. Maxis had lost its founder and suffered one of the worst video game launches up to that point, and EA said, let's do it again. A new SimCity game was announced in 2012 and people were excited. They released a few trailers that looked very promising, but ended up lying to players, showing features not even in the game. It was released and people lost all their excitement when they couldn't play their game because the servers were overloaded and weren't letting people in. The lucky ones who were able to get in had it even worse, with lag, crashes, losing progress. SimCity 2013 still sells well, with over 1.1 million copies in its first 2 weeks, but fans aren't happy. SimCity received a few patches, some paid add-ons, and 1 DLC, and little over 1 year later, EA closed the studio behind SimCity, Maxis Emeryville, in 2015. So after all that drama, is the game any good? SimCity 2013 is like any other SimCity or city building game, placing down roads, zoning houses, businesses, and industry, while working to make the city profitable while it grows. A very fun and addicting gameplay loop that feels rewarding when your little village grows into a big, bustling moneymaker. When the game goes right, it goes really right. From the buildings, lights, vehicles, effects, sounds, to my huge casino I have right next to my elementary school. Everything about my city is satisfying to interact with. Even though my American mind has 3 modes, grid, semi-grid, and highway with either trees or emptiness on either side, I still try to make a good-looking city that has some personality. Next is modular building. When you place a building like a school, fire station, police station, or a casino, you can add on to them and have them grow with the population. Instead of just building another building, add some more rooms or police cars. It shows a nice scale of progression when your building grows along with your city. Now, time to shoot off a few problems I have with Mr. Sim over here. Placing down roads, literally the main thing you do in this game, can be a challenge when the guidelines sometimes decide to not work. Placing down parks to increase your land value is fine, I guess, but parks are annoying to work with, blocking buildings from increasing their size and sometimes too big to fit anywhere. No landscaping or terraforming tools hurts my soul. I am at the mercy of the Maxis overlords for how my city is laid out. The city sizes are stupid small in this game, with you having no room to do anything after a few hours of playing, leading to what I call the new child problem. Aw, my kid has grown into a functioning adult. He even has his own multi-level casino. Screw you, son. I have a new child with my second family who I get to start all over with. After a while of playing, the game wants you to just do it all again, which sucks when you're invested in your current city. So, why are the city sizes so small? Put your detective caps on and let's watch this interview from GDC 2013, where one of the developers of SimCity talks about why the plots are so small.
So one of the first questions we had to address was the size of the play area. We wanted to be able to have a richly detailed simulation where every person and vehicle could be represented as an agent and every building could run its own simulation rules. So that said, bigger is always better, and a lot of people wanted bigger cities, obviously, but the other pressure is that Maxis games, especially SimCity, are fairly mass market, so our min-spec machine is more in the range of your dad's computer rather than a top-of-the-line graphics card and CPU. So there were some trade-offs to be had because of this.
So your cities are smaller because you couldn't have your simulation run on modern hardware. What even is being simulated? So SimCity is an agent-based game, with agents being another word for power, water, waste, workers. It runs along the road until it finds an opening that matches it. So basically, when a yellow electric node leaves the power plant, it doesn't go directly to a house that needs power. It runs along its own road until it finds an opening opening or building that needs it. It's like holding a circle over those kids' shape matching games until it goes into one. This is how everything that is simulated works. Even people, they don't have a established place of work, house, school. They just run along looking for spots to fill. In more complex cities, the agents just break down and you have problems with traffic, work shortages, kids not going to school. To me, it feels like the system was undercooked and rushed out. So instead of making people more realistic, they made them agent-based and maybe would fix it later. But that never happened. Back to this guy. I think he's not being 100% honest here. Doing some research, I came across this great video by City Planner Plays, and he showed a clip from an interview with one of the lead developers of SimCity 2013, and he says this.
If the sort of rollout hadn't been so calamitous, then it would have been straightforward enough to build out larger cities, for example. And basically, it was the backend server stuff, like the simulation engine with more powerful computers and more memory would have let us scale eventually to larger and larger cities until eventually the whole region could be one vast city. And that was sort of the initial design intent behind it, but that never to be.
So all along, EA pushes for this always online game, compromising the vision of these talented developers by forcing systems that made the game worse overall. Okay, then why did EA want the multiplayer? Most likely so they could have their own form of DRM to avoid another pirating disaster like Spore, which failed horribly. And of course, to sell microtransactions. Wow, a shocking revelation. EA is greedy. Well, while we're here, is the multiplayer any good? Multiplayer is fine and would probably be better with friends, but it kind of takes away the feeling of progression that playing single player has, which is funny because it was multiplayer only at launch. Other players in my region already had more developed cities, so working towards building a college, unlocking higher level casinos, getting ferries, are just given to you without the challenge. How many times do you have to learn, EA, that players want a good game without all this garbage thrown in to nickel and dime us? Honestly, I do love this game and get the itch to play it once a year because the progression of your first few cities is so much fun and addicting. It makes me sad the game never got the love it deserved. Well, throw it into the pile of great games EA messed with and abandoned. Also, any of the developers I showed in this video, please don't send hate or anything their way because it was over a decade ago, and also saying the small city size was the developer's fault and not outing EA is because making video games is their career. It is not a good idea to trash talk a company you worked for because if you need a reference, you're screwed. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. At the time of me recording this, we're sitting at 357 subscribers. I'm honestly still just in shock. Thank you so much, everybody that subscribed and watched my other video and now this video. Please subscribe because I'm going to try and get more of these pumped out as quickly as possible, and I'll see y'all in the next one.